Good evening. Hey guys, just putting some lip gloss on because, to be completely honest, this is the only social life I have. Coming on and doing Insta lives. This is by NYX NYX. Love that brand. Yeah, this is my only. This is the only thing I do really in my life. Work and then do Instagram lives. So I figured, why not put some lip gloss on? I hope everyone's had a fab day, and given the news and everything, you've got something to look forward to. And I've just had a delightful dinner. Butternut squash and goat's cheese pancakes with salmon and salad. Oh, it was friggin' delightful. So, let's see. How's everyone? Hey, Dr. Ruth. Hey, Emily. Hey, oh, two Emilys. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Gabriella, Lauren. Derm GP. Oh, I love it when I get a profesh join. Hey, Cardi Bardi. How is everyone? So I have a friggin' phenomenal guest joining me this evening. It's just going to be a quick one. Obviously, I've done various different Instagram lives. They're saved to my IGTV, all on the topic of skincare. Loads of people have had questions, so I've just tried to answer them for you. Hey, all things eczema. Hey, South Studios. Hey, guys. So I will basically bring Joanna in, and then I will introduce her because her bio is pretty phenomenal. Then we'll get going with some questions, and then at the end I have a oh, it's Stephen from TES. Wow, that's the school I went to in Taiwan when I was a kid. Hey Stephen, are you excited to learn all things skincare and supplements? I think it might be right up your street. Wow, what a small world. I have no idea who watches these, to be honest. Honestly. Hey, Molly. Hey, Kiki. I'm dying. Hey, Bella. She's just messaged saying she's trying to join, so hopefully it works. Fingers crossed. If not, then I've just popped on to say hey and shout out and embarrass some of you. I'll save the intro. Hey. I'll save the intro for when she's joined, just so that I don't get you too excited. I can't even remember who I've said hello to now. Hey, Bella. Did you do the workout today? I didn't. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Chloe. Oh, I did do a fab virtual PR event today with Murad Skincare that I'll definitely be telling you guys about. That was friggin' phenomenal. I used to work for a beauty brand. Stephen, hit me up. Who are they? Give me more info, please. Hey, guys. How are you? I wonder whether I can request. Why don't I do that? Why don't I request her instead? I've sent you a request. Hopefully that works. Yay!
Hi! I'm so sorry.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, good. Sorry, it kept freezing. Hi, everybody.
Don't apologise. I was just telling everyone what I had for dinner.
Oh, lovely.
So, you know, I was filling out the time. Thank you ever so much for joining. Really appreciate it. So nice to see you. I'm going to give you a quick intro and then we'll get going.
Yes.
I did some Googling of you, and all the bios are so amazing. I couldn't pick which one. And so I'm going to read through a bit about you just so people know.
Sure.
Before we get going. But Dr. Joanna Ward is an award-winning GP with a special interest in clinical dermatology and nutrition. You studied English at Oxford University and then you studied medicine, and you devoted your professional career to the science and study of skin health and aging, and you're a passionate believer in the power of prevention. I know you have your own brand, and me and you, we did a skin consultation a while ago, and I feel like everything you told me was so helpful. I just wanted other people to be able to hear it. I have your products here, so we can talk through all of that when we get to it.
Yeah.
You know, your career and everything is just amazing. So I'm very, very grateful to have you today. So thank you for being here. Obviously, I've gone through your bio, but if maybe we just start with a little bit of like, if you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about skin health and skincare and what you're all about, and then we can dig into the questions.
Yeah, sure. So obviously I'm a doctor, and about 12 developed a passion for dermatology. I just knew I found my calling. I knew I was born to do and that I was going to make a difference. And so 10 years ago, I set up my own private skin and laser clinic. I had 2 of them, huge clinics. And whilst treating disorders of the skin and aging of the skin, I realized that actually even the most intelligent people just sometimes don't quite know what to use, to take. It's so confusing. You almost need a science degree to understand all of the different ingredients in skincare. Doesn't matter how intelligent you are, it's a very kind of difficult market to navigate. And then there's all the kind of marketing noise and hyperbole that goes along with it. So I really wanted to just create a brand that was intelligent and smart, that somebody had done all the hard work, and also a brand that synergistically nutrition as well, because back then when I created my brand, there was nothing in terms of like nutrition and no real understanding of how, you know, omega-3s and probiotics and gut health and, you know, all of these amazing cellular nutrients affect skin. Lots of people had deficiencies, and we weren't even thinking about correcting them, and none of that really was a part of a skincare consultation. So we created a brand that synergistically kind of marries really intelligent, high-performing skincare ingredients and cellular nutrition. And actually, since we created it, it's the market has exploded in nutraceuticals and supplements, you know, probiotics, and we all understand about gut health now, but we didn't then. So it's definitely developed, which is exciting.
Amazing. I love it. Yeah, and I totally agree with you. It's definitely exploded, and there's lots of exciting things happening for sure. So I know a lot of people who will be watching this obviously have problem skin and suffer with various different skin conditions. Obviously, when we spoke, I was explaining to you about eczema and how I actually went on a bit of a stress and kind of holistic journey, which I think definitely contributed to my health. And obviously now I'm super focused on, you know, ingredients and anti-aging and preventative measures, as you say. So I know that we talked a little bit about like key things for people with skin like mine, you know, maybe dry, dehydrated, sensitive eczema type skin. What would you say to those people with regards to like a skin routine and things to include?
Yeah, well, like we chatted about, it can be really, really difficult. You know, if the anti-aging market's hard or the skincare market's hard to navigate anyway, add in eczema-prone skin or sensitive skin, and it's a whole different level of complicated. So many of my patients, for example, with rosacea and eczema, they want some anti-aging ingredients, but you know, they buy a product, it brings them out, it burns, it stings, it irritates, they feel like they can't use it. You know, it's very difficult. So I think key ingredients for dehydration anyway would be hyaluronic. It's amazing. Everybody's heard of it now. It's a real buzzword, but it really is the most powerful hydrator, and it's non-irritating. All of my acne patients can use it as well because it's oil-free and it's just a super hydrator. Some hyaluronics have some amazing anti-aging ingredients added in. So in my brand ZENii, we've got anti-aging peptides, but you know, you can find these lovely combinations of hyaluronic. So I think that is just a kind of must-have for people who have sensitive skin, who perhaps can't use some of these really amazing antioxidant cocktails because they've got irritating vitamin C in and things like that. So that definitely. I think everybody, regardless of skin type, needs to find themselves a really amazing sun protector. And that's not easy. There's so much trial and error, isn't there? You know, what sun protector should I use that doesn't break me out and that agrees with me, that sits beautifully on the skin? So I think all of us, men and women, have to explore a few different brands and figure out what works for us. Anyone with super sensitive skin, I generally say, particularly acne patients as well, try and find something oil-free that you can use every day, because that will help. Some patients are better with mechanical sun protectors than they are with the chemical types. So Lydia, you may be better with a kind of zinc oxide, titanium oxide type of sun protector rather than some of the chemical ones. And that's because people with eczema sometimes do get really sensitive with sun protection. Have you had that problem?
Yeah, there were times when it didn't matter what I put on, I just felt like I reacted so badly, so it was just like a no-go. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the true anti-aging kind of game changer is retinol. So we do use that in people with sensitive skin. We do use it in people with rosacea. Tentatively, we go slow. And do you remember when we were talking, we were wondering whether we put you on some retinols, whether your skin would tolerate it, because it's a beautiful multitasking ingredient, particularly as the skin starts to age. It can do lots of different things. But obviously, if you're very sensitive, it's wise to go carefully. So I always say, look, start super slow. Low percentages, super slow, and just take your skin on that journey slowly, because you can use retinol, can't you?
Yeah, I can. I didn't dare try, and obviously I read amazing things about it, and slowly, as you say, have tried to incorporate it, and for me, I've definitely found a benefit. Could you just talk about like what retinol is and what it does? Because a lot of people have heard about it, but they're not actually sure.
Yeah. Okay, so retinol comes in lots of different forms. It's a vitamin A derivative, really. There's lots of different confusing names for it. You might hear it as retinol, retin A, tretinoin, retinoic acid. So it's basically, when we're talking about it, we're generally talking about topical creams that contain this active ingredient, and it does a lot of different things. So it helps up-regulate your skin cycle, which is a good thing, because as we get older, our skin cycle becomes a little bit more sluggish. It's very good for treatment of acne. It's very good at improving superficial scarring that you may have had from things like acne. It's great for anti-aging. It's one of the most clinically evidenced ingredients in skincare for anti-aging. Fine lines, wrinkles. It penetrates deeply, which is great because it has an effect on our skin health and texture. So it is a really nice ingredient, but there's a love-hate. Retinol is one of those products that will, for most people, create some difficulty, because particularly the traditionally formulated ones, they can make the skin quite dry, even a bit itchy, a bit inflamed, and people don't like that. And as soon as they get that, they think, oh, I don't like this, and compliance is a real issue. But if you push through and just creep up slowly and taper your dose slowly, the skin adjusts to it, and actually it's just the most wonderful therapy for the skin. So I generally start patients from about the age of 30 onwards onto some kind of retinol, low concentrations first, and then, you know, as the skin can tolerate it, we increase. But yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm definitely at the 30 stage now, so that is going to be my focus for the foreseeable. And what would you say that, you know, for people with eczema that obviously therefore have problem skin, so you've mentioned hyaluronic, you've mentioned retinol, what should people, from your kind of expertise, what should people with eczema be doing, you know, more generally to benefit or to help their skin? And what do you most commonly see with your patients that you think is like a commonality, or kind of an, I don't know, a common resolution that works for the majority?
Well, I think it's really important to remember that the skin is reflecting everything that's put into it and onto it. So when somebody comes to me with problem skin, whether it's eczema, rosacea, acne, I need to try and understand what's going on inside this person's body. There is some kind of inflammatory component. So we like to try and think quite broadly. The skin is just an indicator of what's going on, is a visual indicator of what's going on the inside. So obviously we address the skin. The skin is inflamed and irritated in an active episode. So we need to try and calm that. Emollients we routinely use to try and help the skin. And obviously we do use sometimes steroids onto the skin, but I know a lot of patients these days really don't want to use steroids and are trying to put away. And of course we don't want people to get dependent on them either, because they really are for short-term use.
Yeah.
So what I generally encourage patients to do is to go on a journey, to keep a diary, to look at their food, look at their lifestyle, look at stress. You know, we have a lot of things. So a lot of people with eczema have dairy, cow's milk intolerance. So we look at diet, and could there be any triggers in the diet? We can test for that, of course, as well. We can do some very specific allergen testing. We can also check by doing things like a patch test actually onto the skin. We can check for irritants and allergies and things that might be triggering this. If we find anything, we can adjust the diet. Do you remember in your consultation, we talked about stress and the skin?
Yeah, totally. Like, I see a major link now. Even now I do.
Yeah. So we know that stress increases cortisol, and stress absolutely affects the skin. You know, we know that people have breakouts of eczema. We know people have breakouts of acne. They have rosacea flares when they're acutely stressed, because it's all driven by these stress hormones. So learning how to manage our stress is really important. You know, there are some doctors out there that think that, you know, stress is one of the most important public health problems, because it is driving lots of different types of pathology. And if we don't learn to control our stress, we are living in a very hyped up, revved up, vigilant state, which is not good for anybody's health, skin health, brain health, heart health, you know, all of those things. And then definitely gut health. I ask people, you know, what's your gut like? Because often we find clues. People will often say, well, actually for years I've struggled with my gut, and you know, I've had certain symptoms. So I always want to look at the gut and maybe do some specific tests there to find out what's going on. You know, does this person have a really depleted microbiome? Have they used lots of antibiotics in the past? Lots of patients who've had rosacea, acne, chronic skin disorders have often had multiple doses of antibiotics. And if you couple that with them also being, for example, on the pill or on any other medication that might deplete the good bacteria in their gut, they can end up in a state where they really don't have much good, protective, beneficial bacteria in the gut. And then you're going to have problems. So I always look at the gut and state of the gut and try and optimize those kinds of things. Obviously, things like alcohol kill off the bacteria in your gut as well, those lovely bacteria that are protective. So we look at someone's lifestyle, you know, smoking, alcohol, recreational drugs. They're all very relevant to the skin. So actually, we've come a long way, because we used to just, you know, write a prescription and send people off. And now we're thinking with our brains a lot more, you know, how is this all connected? And this person's skin is acutely inflamed. Well, what else is inflamed? What else is inflamed? It's a really important question.
Yeah, and I hope people watching this, you know, there's a lot of people that just say, you know, no medical professional is looking at me holistically. You know, I just walk in, they give me some steroids, and I walk out and I'm stuck. And I hope this just, you know, teaches other people, and there is hope. There are people that are so amazing, you know, medical trained, that just know what to look for and can spend time with you and figure out what's going on. So on the topic of bacteria and inside the body, you know, you talk to me a lot about like supplements and healing your skin from within. And I thought that that was super useful. And a lot of people have questions on supplements because they're just not sure what to take or whether it works. So can you talk about that whole kind of angle of skincare, if possible?
So, I mean, people always ask us doctors as well, you know, doctor, do I really need to take supplements? And if so, what? Just give me the list.
Yeah.
The thing is, we're all different and we all have different diets and lifestyles and all the rest. So none of us have exactly the same requirement. And for a patient of mine, I would take a very detailed history about their diet, their lifestyle, the state of their gut to decide what I think they need. But in general, supplements are there to bridge a gap, you know, to make sure that you haven't got a deficit. I never want people on mega doses of anything because most supplements in mega doses aren't needed. Most of us will get a lot of great stuff if we eat a well-balanced diet. But the problem is that in the UK, we are highest in Europe for the consumption of convenience and gas station food. So 50% of the food consumed by Brits is not real food, it's processed. And there's a big problem with that because processed foods are so removed from their natural, nourishing state and often have a depleted level of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, phytonutrients, that they don't really offer us very much. So given that we're eating in a very different way to people would have eaten 100 years ago, a lot of people do have these little micronutrient deficiencies. Now, I always say to people, your skin will only withstand the process of aging and will only be healthy at the cellular level if you are giving it all the nutrients it needs. It needs vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, polyphenols, you know, all of these important things. And none of us know exactly what we're achieving with that every day, right? And very rarely do we run blood profiles on people to check these things. So I do think that supplements have a role, definitely. And I think if people have a restricted diet, then definitely there are certain things. Most of us have some gut health issues, actually. So most people born after about 1960 have what we call a kind of dysbiosis, which means, you know, dysfunctional and less than ideal gut health. So I think probiotics are kind of universal. I give them to a lot of my patients who have dermatology problems, so eczema, rosacea, psoriasis, acne, because they're very well tolerated, they're easy to take normally, and they repopulate the gut with positive bacteria. So if you're looking for a good probiotic, you would need to have a vast number, like in the billions of colony forming units per capsule. So it's got to be high in numbers because we've got trillions in our gut. It needs to be a nice wide range of beneficial bacteria. So in my range, the ZENii probiotics, we have 8 different strains of beneficial bacteria. And that's good. You know, 8 is better than 1, better than 2, right? And then it's very important for something like probiotics, for example, to look at the transport. How is that live bacteria going to get to where we need it in the gut? How is it going to withstand the gastric juices, a very acidic environment, for example? Because if you eat probiotic yogurt, some of that beneficial bacteria will be lost to the gastric juices. So there's quite a science to supplements. I think another one that's really good for people who have inflammatory skin disorders, and for actually, I take that back, for all of us in general right now, is vitamin D. So in the winter months, we don't have the sunlight in the UK at the right index for us to actually manufacture our own vitamin D. And vitamin D is very important for skin health, very important. It's also very important for brain health, immune health, protecting against things like cancer. So vitamin D3, I put almost all of my patients on, definitely in the winter months. That can definitely impact and improve your skin. And for someone like you with problems with eczema, or anybody coming to me with really dry skin, I look at things like omega-3 and fatty acid consumption. So I generally will put my patients, onto some kind of omega-3, because a lot of people are deficient. And what people don't realize is the skin is surrounded by a kind of a fatty layer. And when you've got things like eczema, you have a impaired barrier function. And so you can lose a lot of your moisture from your skin that way. And omega-3 is really important for maintaining that skin barrier function and a healthy skin barrier. So if somebody's got real difficulties with their skin, then that can often be a really good addition. Easy to take, again, perfectly safe, and lots of people are deficient. So I find that very useful. So they're my three kind of for everybody. If someone has acne, I'll often put them on zinc. A lot of patients are zinc deficient, and zinc deficiency can cause dryness of the skin, redness of the skin, and acne. So it would probably benefit you, which is why I put you onto ProClear as well. So yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, there's a real method and science to why we create and formulate these kinds of products, because they conveniently put all these really essential micronutrients into one place so that people can just take them and hopefully, you know, their skin will be better and healthier because of it.
Totally. Yeah, mind blowing. And how long should you be on these for you to start noticing a difference, or for it to be making a difference?
Well, that's a really good question. So everybody always asks that. How long do I have to use this, either topically or orally, before I see a difference? The skin cycle in most of us is 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. So I say to people, give it a skin cycle, because if you're starting new products, you may have a purge first. Some of the old debris needs to come out. You know, you want to get that all of that debris out of the skin, and then you see in the next cycle a better skin health. And I do think to some extent it's the same with micronutrients. Probiotics are slightly different. You might feel that more quickly. But in general, I'd say as a rule, give it 4 to 6 weeks, and you know, you'll really see a difference then.
Amazing, thank you. Lucy said, what brand would you recommend? Lucy, I think she would recommend ZENii, which is her own brand. So check it out, and at the end I will give you, in fact, no, I'll just tell you now and I'll tell you at the end again. Joanna has kindly given you guys 15% off, so 15% discount if you use the code Lydia15. So check out what you have to offer. And obviously, I'm sure that they can DM you with any specific questions, or the brand itself. But definitely take a look. I've been taking, you know, these supplements which you just went through, which is the advanced micronutrient formula with vitamins, minerals, turmeric, antioxidant, and then I've been taking the triple omega-3s. So this is what I've been taking. If you want to have copy what you gave me in my skin consultation. And then I've also been taking the vitamin D, and I've been making my whole family take it. We've just put it on by our kitchen sink, and I'm just like, everybody take the vitamin D. So definitely check out that brand. And I think it's what you say. I'm sure there's so many supplements where the science hasn't been looked into as much. The amounts, the percentages, the direction, everything. Like, I know that there's a lot of importance of making sure you've got the right dosage, the right strength, the right combination, and so that's why I think it's helpful that you've summarized it in that way, so people know that there is benefit if they look at the right things.
Yeah. But I don't only recommend my own brand. I mean, I'm a skin lover. I'm passionate about all kinds of things. I've got loads of other products that I love, and I take inspiration from looking at other people's stuff. And then I think, oh, that's amazing. If I add this and this, that would make it even perfect. So I'm a creator, and I'm always formulating in my mind, and you know, lying awake at night thinking, oh gosh, my next one has to be, you know, brain health. I want to do something for that. So it's always interesting to know what people want as well, and what people find helpful, you know, because the reason I made ProClear is for my patients, because they were always like, well, do I take 20 different things so that I'm correcting everything? Couldn't someone just put it all in one place? And that's what I was, you know, determined to do, was to make it easy.
I love that, and thank you for doing so, because like I say, it took me a while to actually understand that stuff, so I'm grateful for that. Dr. Ruth asked a good question, and actually it was on my list, so I may as well ask it now. Sorry. She said, what skincare ingredients are good to look for in those of us with eczema to help the skin barrier? And I think in general, you know, what are the top ingredients that if people are shopping around, they should be looking out for? I know you've mentioned hyaluronic and retinol, but what else?
Yeah, definitely ceramides. And that's where in my brand, I don't yet have a ceramide, but I do think that it would be amazing. So ceramides are really, really helpful. They help with barrier function repair. Then indirectly that helps with hydration of your skin cells and calming the irritation. Because if you can imagine, if you've got a broken barrier, everything from the environment can get in and you can lose things out. So you lose water all the time. So I think ceramides are wonderful. A really good ingredient, not particularly expensive either. So when we formulate, we look at ingredients, and every time I want to add an ingredient into a formulation, I get told, well, it's going to increase the cost by this. And you have to always think, is that going to sell? Does that make something too expensive? So ceramides, definitely. I am a huge fan of antioxidants. My non-negotiables in terms of anti-aging are a daily sun protector, a daily antioxidant, and retinol. Antioxidants are a tricky one if you are super sensitive. If you're inflamed or if your barrier repair is not great at the moment, then don't use them. But people like you who've had eczema before and who are, you know, your skin is so much better now, isn't it? Because you've corrected so many little things in your lifestyle as a whole, that you could probably start using some antioxidants. And antioxidants are amazing because one of the ways the skin ages is through a process called oxidation. And by virtue of us being alive, we are always exposed to oxygen. Now, what happens is that creates free radicals, which are these kind of damaging molecules in the skin and in all tissue, in fact. So our skin and all tissues are damaged by free radicals. Antioxidants, both in our food and topically when applied to the skin, they neutralize these harmful free radicals. So that is really powerful. And I always try and get my patients who have got sensitive skin or have had inflammatory skin disorders onto some kind of antioxidant so that they also benefit. It can be a bit of trial and error because, like I said, some of the best antioxidants, like vitamin C, for example, can be a little bit irritating, but they are the most evidenced ingredients, and they are powerful preventers of aging and inflammation in the skin. So it is always nice to try. So never say never. I always feel that at some point I've got to get people onto some kind of antioxidant. And we try with different brands sometimes and different formulations to see what suits people.
Amazing. And on the topic of anti-aging, sorry, I know that you said kind of prevention is key. I'll admit I've been terrible at sun protection. I grew up abroad, always in the sun, just thought my skin could take it. And it's only, I read a quote recently that just said, don't even bother with skincare if you're not using sun protection, because every time you expose yourself, you're taking yourself 10 steps back, even if you are using all the ingredients. And I was like, oh, I feel attacked. I feel that was me. So I know the importance now of sun protection. But on the topic of kind of preventative measures and anti-aging, is there anything else you wanted to let the group know about?
Yeah, well, there's obviously sun protection. So we know that UV rays damage or are responsible, let's say, for about 80 to 90% of the skin's extrinsic aging. So that's a kind of environmental aging. That's major, 80 to 90%. That's a big, yeah. So definitely SPF. We are starting to understand now that screens and, HEV, high energy visible light, from screens, technology, that is also damaging the skin. So we definitely need to be careful of that. that is something new, obviously, in environment. You know, 20 years ago, we didn't all have iPhones and iPads and stare into screens all day. So we definitely need to be aware of the aging effects of high energy visible light, blue light. Most formulators, so for example, when I formulate my sun protectors, we put the HEV protection in as well.
Oh, cool. That's helpful to know.
Yeah, not everybody does, but I think it will be the way of the future. And antioxidants as well do help against HEV and blue light. Then there's pollution. You know, pollution ravages our skin, and a lot of people live in an urban environment. So we, again, we need measures to protect ourselves against pollution. Pollution particles are so tiny that they go straight into our tiny little skin follicles. So I think some ways you can protect from pollution is cleansing well, making sure that all the pollution particles are off the skin. So I kind of always say cleanse and double cleanse if you've worn makeup or if you've been in a really urban, dirty city environment. I suggest everybody wears antioxidants in some form because that protects against pollution. Niacinamide, so B3, looks to be a big player in pollution. So that's a good one. And obviously sunscreen and HEV, those same technologies can protect against pollution. And then at night, things like ceramides and retinol that help regenerate the skin so that you repair from the day's daily insults are really important. Some antioxidants at night to neutralize free radicals. I think all those things can help. And one thing I must say about my range is that, and I think this is quite unique, and it's another reason why I did it, was it's oil free. So when I formulate, I try and avoid any oil bases and really heavy occlusive products, because a lot of patients break out with that. And I had so many patients who had acne and lots of breakouts but wanted anti-aging products. So we tried to formulate with very lightweight oil-free products so that people wouldn't break out.
Yeah.
The oxidant is lightweight, oil-free. Our hyaluronic is oil-free, but has got triple anti-aging peptides. So we're always thinking about anti-aging, but keeping things light and non-occlusive. So I formulate with really thick, heavy, creamy, rich formulas and bases, because they can be very troublesome for people who have eczema, rosacea, acne. Maskne right now, you know, is a whole new problem for lots of us.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And so I think you've therefore answered another question that a lot of people have. And it's, as you say, when you're suffering with a flare up or a breakout, you do layer on product and emollients and thick creams, and that has benefits, I'm sure, on various parts of your body, but on your face it can then lead to spots. So is it correct that rather than applying like majorly thick layers, things like the hyaluronic serums and, you know, different serums and drops, like, are there other ways that you can get that moisture and hydration in without applying moisturizer? And a lot of other people say, you know, I apply a bit of moisturizer and my skin just drinks it and then I'm dry again. Like, how can I, you know, get a quick fix of hydration to just make it a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah. So great point, Lydia. We definitely needed to touch on this. Right. So face, upper chest, upper back, very, very rich in sebaceous glands. And that's where we can get the breakouts and the acne if they get occluded and full of oil and bacteria colonizes them. So on the face, the upper chest and the back, these are the kind of acne zones. I often say to my patients, you might need to use some other products. Hyaluronic is amazing. You know, you can layer serums. So serums.
I love.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You can layer serums. Hyaluronic obviously is the most hydrating ingredient out there. It can bind 1,000 times its weight in water. There is a trick with hyaluronic though. You want to lock it in. So sometimes people put on hyaluronic and they feel even drier, like it sucks everything out of their skin. So what you want to do after a hyaluronic is put your final layer on. So we often put it in the daytime, for example. You would then use a sun protector. And in the evening, you might use, you know, cleanse tone, your antioxidant serum, your hyaluronic, and then you might end with something else. Like I would end with retinol, for me anyway, because then that locks in your hyaluronic acid. Ceramides, again, like correcting the skin barrier and reinforcing and making sure that you've got a healthy skin barrier. If you don't have a healthy skin barrier, you will always be losing your hydration. And then as we get older anyway, we lose something called hyaluronic acid in our skin. So we lose collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic acid. Now, without hyaluronic acid naturally in your skin, you can't hold on to your moisture as well. So there are some new, really cutting edge injectable hyaluronic treatments that actually help for people who cannot hold on to their, you know, if their serums are just not enough. The next stage is you've got this tiny mesotherapy type injectable hyaluronic acid to help rehydrate the skin from the inside out. So that can be really helpful for people who can't get on top of, you know, hydration issues with the skin.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you. I'm glad you shared that. Another question was around kind of scarring, pigmentation, and darker under eye circles. So I appreciate that what we've talked about is quite kind of generalistic. What about if you have a specific problem area on your face? What would you recommend for that?
Oh, tricky. Okay, they're all slightly different. I mean, I could talk about pigmentation for a long time. I'll try and cover those three. So pigmentation, we often call it pigmentation, but we're actually referring to something called hyperpigmentation, where excess or irregularity in our pigmentation. That is very, very common. It, in women, can be caused by taking contraceptive pills and then being exposed to the sun, to ultraviolet light. That particular condition can be called melasma, where you get a kind of symmetrical discoloration or browning of the skin. Or then we can get lots of pigmentation from sun exposure, so, you know, lots of freckling and and spots like that. First of all, prevent. So antioxidants and sun protection, big hats, that kind of thing, trying to avoid the hottest times of the day. If you need to correct pigmentation, antioxidants are really good. So vitamin C and vitamin A are great ingredients for correcting pigmentation. In some people, that are not enough to treat it. And that's when we would look at medical treatment. So if somebody has like a big sunspot or age spot on their hand, I might use something like IPL, you know, a pulse light in clinic to correct it. If someone has pigmentation on their face, particularly that kind of melasma, hyperpigmentation, I wouldn't use a light therapy, but there's a medicated or prescription skin medicine called hydroquinone that we use. Now, it can only be used in short bursts, but it's very good at correcting hyperpigmentation or irregularity. It can fade it in about 6 to 8 weeks. You need to see a doctor for it. It has to be prescribed, but it is pretty phenomenal at evening up your skin tone, because for some people it's really distressing having to constantly try to camouflage pigmentation. So that can be really helpful, and we always couple it with tretinoin as well in that regime. It's much more powerful if you've got a good vitamin A in there. So that's, in a nutshell, pigmentation. There are things like kojic acid, arbutin. There are some other ingredients that are really good for pigmentation, licorice, that kind of thing. So you can find some nice serums, concentrated serums with all those kinds of key actives over the counter. They're often not enough to completely and fully clear it. So that's where people like me come in handy for, you know, prescription skincare to clear it up, and then maybe maintenance on some over-the-counter stuff. Okay, so dark circles, why do we get them? They are troublesome. So the skin around our eyes here is 10 times thinner than the skin elsewhere. So you've got an area that's very likely to have accelerated aging because it's already starting very thin. Another thing is that a lot of us don't bring our sunblocks all the way up here because our eyes start to sting. Yes. So I'm a big fan of sunglasses. Great, because they protect this very fragile area and then your actual eye. They protect your eye health in the long term because UV damages your eye. If you start to see dark circling, you're often seeing the vascular bed. So these are the vessels. So the skin becomes thin and then you can see the vessels, that purple huey color. At that point, the skin is quite thin. So it can be quite tricky in any kind of topical treatment to see an improvement. You know, all of these dark circle remedies over the counter often won't work because you've already got a very, very paper thin skin showing the vascular bed, and you're trying to correct the discoloration of the vascular bed, which won't happen. So there are, again, some injectable high hyaluronic acids that you can place very, very, very delicately across here, across the orbital rim. And what they do is they kind of sit there like a gel, very long, and they create a little bit of lift in the hollow because you often get the hollow as well. And they can create an improved light reflection. So they don't take away the vascular bed, that's there, but they can improve the light reflection so that you don't see as much purpling. Obviously needs to be done by someone who's an expert. You don't let anybody go near the eye area. It's a very anatomically complex area, but that can help as well. And then there are some kind of skin tightening techniques to try and stimulate collagen in this area that can be really helpful.
Amazing. So super helpful. Thank you ever so much. And I appreciate we've gone over, so I don't want to take any more of your time. Was there anything else that I didn't cover that you think is important on this topic? And where can people reach out to your clinic and you, and how can they contact you?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered a lot. The thing is, there's always more to discuss, isn't there? It's when you're passionate about skin, it's just, you know, I could talk forever. I absolutely love it. And I'm always learning. That's the thing. I am always learning myself. Right. You can find us with www.zenii, zenii.co.uk. Yes, there's a code Lydia15. We'll give you a 15% discount at the checkout on all skincare. Welcome. So do have a scroll, do have a look. And I'm Dr. Joanna Ward. So I'm the founder of the brand. I do all the creation myself because deep down I am just a little skin geek.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. And like I say, you know, this is stuff that so many people don't get access to. And so I'm super grateful for you sharing this more widely, and I'll continue to share it because I get questions that you have answered every single day. So yeah. Thank you. Hopefully in a non-COVID world, we won't do this stuff.
Your skin is amazing, by the way.
Thank you. So I have been using this hyaluronic booster serum, and I love it. Just press it out, and it gives you the right amount. And because it's like super kind of watery and gel-like, I can put it on throughout the day.
Yeah,
I've actually had this downstairs, like in the main area, because I can just pop it on. And then this is my retinol booster serum, and then these are the two kind of supplements that I've been taking. So I've been doing it all, and like I say, everyone says, oh, your skin looks, you know, really good. And so I think it's only been in the last couple of months that I've actually started like upping it a little bit, and I'm noticing results. And also I always think, you know, sometimes you look in the mirror and you think, oh my gosh, like this is not working, and then you look back at a photo of yourself or a video from like 6 months ago and you realize actually it totally has made a difference. So I always think, you know, kind of doing before and afters and stuff, you actually really notice good results. So I'm super grateful, and like I say, I'll continue to share what you've shared with us because these questions are super common, and you look fantastic as well. It's full-time job. I mean,
I'm having great problems because I am literally in full PPE, so shield and an N95 mask, a very tight-fitting mask. So you can probably see, you know, we're not immune from it. I'm on the retinol every night, on the oil-free hyaluronic, you know, practicing what I preach, you know, which is skincare, because masks are a big problem right now for all of us.
Totally. I wish I had you like in my house so I could just shout questions as and when they come, but
Oh, it's a pleasure. We can do it again sometime. It's been
absolutely, for sure. I'd love that. Have a lovely evening, and thank you ever so much again, and thank you to everybody who joined and for all your amazing questions.
Thanks everyone. Good night. Bye bye.
Bye bye.